So you can look at the whole portfolio as your base asset, or you can look at one specific token as your base asset. It's up to you. Like, it doesn't really matter. Most people will have a portion of their portfolio allocated to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then other mid to high cap altcoins, and then a few speculative ones in some lower micro caps or whatever. I don't really think it matters that much as long as you're consistent with the way that you invest. I think that's more important than which token or portfolio. Like, people are like, oh, I want to have this diverse portfolio and hope for the best. It's all hopium, really. I think that would work, but I don't think you need to do that if you have a very consistent approach to investing. And the way I look at it is I'm looking at the horizon as a 1.5 to 2 year horizon. So in my mind, the thesis is up, right? So that's the thesis. That's the idea. So let me take TRVL as a key example. So I was looking at TRVL for the fundamentals of the project from when it began. And obviously I wanted to invest in something which I understood, which I knew worked and was completely off the radar. And then the team were the right team, the right people to make it happen, right? So there's a few conditions that I kind of correlated in my mind when it came to TRVL. It was off the radar. It worked. I knew it worked. It perfectly fits into my own real world business. And in fact, my real world business, which is short let vacation rentals, the business model has actually changed, where Dtravel and the idea of Dtravel is paramount to the future success of my business. Actually, what Dtravel has made happen is it's changed my business. My business now has changed, where Dtravel is an essential part of my business, becoming an essential part of my real world business. Dtravel has allowed that to happen because of the way previous guests now are coming back to me, and then now they're booking directly, and I'm using Dtravel. I never really had that ability before in such an easy way. And obviously there are these other kind of centralized platforms which allow you to directly book, but they're still centralized. So the decentralized part is paramount for the change. I need that ability. I need the ability to be able to accept bookings without condition, because I have repeat guests. I can't be held captive by centralized platforms. If I have a repeat guest that wants to come back to me, and for whatever reason a centralized platform says no, then I'm at their mercy, and therefore I'm not in charge of my own business. What I'm saying is that I was interested, like, the thing is, you can take any project, you can take any token, this idea can work with any token. You can take BNB, you can take Matic, you can take Ethereum, you can take Bitcoin. It doesn't really matter what token or what array of tokens you take to form your core base. But I think it's hard, because the more you have, the more confusing it gets. I think for me, it's really important to keep it simple. And so having a small array of tokens would be a lot easier for most people than having a massive, large, diverse portfolio of 100 tokens. And I'm not recommending people to go all in on one token, but people should do what they feel comfortable with. And a lot of people are comfortable having a portion of their portfolio, whatever, in Bitcoin, and a portion of it in Ethereum, and then just having a median gain on all of the increase in value across the whole board of tokens. So at one point, if one token isn't doing well, but then the others, 2 others or 3 others doing well, then that offsets the devaluation of the one that isn't doing well, and you have a general portfolio growth. I think that's fine. But in my mind, I was thinking to myself, I needed something which was off the radar, but which has future potential growth, because that is where most of the value is going to come. So in terms of increasing of value, or the increase of value, the reason why I picked TRVL is because it is completely off the radar. No one knows about it. It is, the product does work, and I've seen it work in practice in a real world situation, in my own business, in my own real world business. And I'm generating revenue through Dtravel in my own real world business, and it's not a small amount. And so therefore, because I've seen how that's worked for me, I can see how that works for other people. I can see how this network can grow very quickly. And so because the project is off the radar, what I imagine is that the growth of the network will eventually reflect into the growth of the token for the duration of the bull market. So that was why I picked TRVL. But I mean, I think anyone can pick any token to do what I'm doing. And quite simply, ultimately, the way I'm looking at this is my bank balance. It's my, for the duration of the bull market. That's how I'm viewing this. And so over time, what I'm doing is I'm transferring fiat value into TRVL value. I'm scaling in. Yeah. And the thesis is that we are creating a low to eventually create a high, to eventually, you know, that's the thesis. And so what I am, or what I do, is cyclical trading, basically. I cycle in the lows and I cycle out of the highs, and I cycle in the lows and I cycle out of the highs. I cycle in and I cycle out. The reason why that I do that is because it's really easy to do. It is very stress-free and I'm not using leverage. So I don't worry about being liquidated. And ultimately, I'm catching most of the move up and I'm scaling out of the highs to catch the move back down. And so the way I see it is when it's in fiat, you're short, and when you're in crypto or when you're in a token in spot, you're long. Yeah. With zero leverage at a 1-to-1. But if you select something like TRVL, which is a token which is completely off the radar, with a real world business use case, with a real market that hasn't been tapped yet and will be, i.e. the short vacation rental market and the travelers who want those short vacation rentals, there's a big market there for that. The value of the token will grow with the network growth, and obviously with the speculative growth that comes from the crypto market. And so we're now in a situation with TRVL where it looks like, to me, it looks like we're forming the lows. And so naturally, my strategy is so simple. I accumulate on red candles. Is really that simple. And basically, I'm scaling into red candles. Now, anyone can use any time frame to do this. It doesn't matter. You could scale in, you can go into the monthly time frame and you can scale in on red candles. But to be able to do that effectively, you would have had to have done it already, because that's where most of the red candles are. Now that we're about to form green candles, it'll be a lot harder to scale in. But ultimately, what you really want to do is you want to scale in on the way up. People think you have to scale in on the way down, but actually what you want to do is scale in on the way up. Yeah. If, assuming that this market continues, is now turning from a downward market to an upward market, yeah, something like that. So if you can imagine this as, even though we didn't have a run to begin with, if you can imagine this as like an ABC, like some kind of correction, ABC, and now we're about to form some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm imagining some kind of 5-wave move. Yeah. Then now scaling in to the way up is the best strategy. So effectively, and that's why it's called a bull run. I think people don't quite understand what it means, a bull run. Yeah. But a bull run, obviously it begins somewhere when you release the bull and or the bulls, and then they run. And they run and they run and you run with the bulls basically. And so effectively what you're doing is you keep on buying. That's what a bull run is. You keep on buying, and you buy throughout the course of the bull run. That's the whole point. It's to buy. And so right now what I see is that we're forming the bottom of the beginning of a bull run of a coin that hasn't run yet. And so that's why it's quite interesting, because I mean, you can look at it in terms of investing, you can look at it in terms of trading, you can look at it in terms of whatever whatever you want. But the way I view this is that I imagine it as a bull that's about to run. And I imagine it's, you know, the price is now turning and the fundamentals of the project are absolutely critical. And I think I think this is has the right ingredients to capture a large portion of the crypto interest. And so that's why I'm so interested in it. And it's off the radar, and it's already on a few exchanges, potentially going on many more in the future, with a lot of key updates coming. So all of these ingredients are in place, and it's about to run. And this is what really interests me, because I think eventually what's going to happen, or what I'm hoping that will happen, is that we're going to see a bull run. We're going to see the price run. That's what I'm kind of anticipating. And I'm not even putting this in terms of trading or investing. I'm not even looking, I'm just looking at this as the bull run. As the bull run, the bull is about to run, and we're about to run with the bulls. And right now we're forming the launch pad of the bull run. And so what I'm expecting is some kind of run, and then run, and then run, like a proper run, like a 5-wave run. And I think it will probably get more exciting towards the end, because that's when the run, that's what the bulls are going to run the most fastest and the most aggressive. And so eventually so my strategy right now is quite simply to buy red candles. That's really, I'm really keeping it simple. And what I'm doing right now is accumulating the same amount on every red candle. So every time I see a red candle, yeah, I'm buying the red candles right now. And initially it was on the weekly time frame, but now as we're going from bear to bull, I'm increasing the frequency to lower time frame candles. So now it could be 3 days, or it could be daily. Actually, it's daily, but every time I see a red candle, I'm buying. And that is my game plan. And what I'm expecting is the bull to run. That's what I'm expecting. And that's why I'm like, and I think it's okay that, like, what I'm thinking also is, like, I think it's good that people do take profit, but if they can imagine this as the beginning of a bull run, the idea of a bull run is that if you are looking to take profits on green candles, and so that would be the correct strategy, you're putting you're compounding back onto the red candles. Yeah, that's the idea. So if we start making higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, over time, people will be taking profits at the top of green candles, and then will be compounding the profits on the red candles. That would be what I'm looking to experience. and see how far we can make this run. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this. Now, that's kind of why it's called the bull run, like, because that's exactly what happens. People are buying through the course of the duration of the bull market, and they're buying the dips. And so every time it dips, you just buy, and it keeps on going up and up and up. But the very easy strategy, and I think everyone should kind of figure out their own idea of what they want and how to go about it. And so for me, it's really easy. I just buy red candles. Yeah. And I imagine this as my bank. Like for the next 1.5 years, TRVL is my bank account. Yeah. Is my bank balance. I'm not really imagining my bank balance in fiat. I'm just scaling into my true balance, which is TRVL. And I will see the growth of that because of the wider crypto market increasing in value. And obviously because of the project increasing in value as the network value is translated into crypto value. And that is happening, or that will happen. And eventually what you will expect is once the bull has run, you know, and that's it, that's the run. Now I can't tell you what's going to happen into the future, but that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting this token to run, and the strategy isn't to buy the pumps, it's to buy the dips and to keep on accumulating the dips. And eventually I think that's how people are going to that's how people play most tokens. So this could, for me, I'm using TRVL as my core bank balance. And so, yeah, sure, it goes up 3x and it comes back down. And I'm not worried about that because on the higher time frame, yeah, I'm expecting a 5-wave move up, and I'm expecting the bull market to pretty much end somewhere in the latter stages of 2025. I think Craig Shot Gaming says, I've been accumulating TRVL for a few weeks now. I won't take profits until at least $3, then scale out the way up if it's a crazy. So look, Craig Shot Gaming, I think everyone has to do what they feel comfortable with. And like, I think, like, I'm not telling you what to do. I think everyone should just do what's right with them, and everyone has their own kind of risk appetite. And I'm not really a risky person. I don't like trading like this. For me, this isn't fun. Like scalping in a low liquidity environment where the price can move so much. I don't enjoy that. I prefer like having planned trades and doing that on Bitcoin. And that, for me, that's more interesting. But for this, I'm a cycle trader. So I'm looking to trade the cycle. I'm not looking to trade fluctuations in price. Other people are looking to trade fluctuations in price. So for some people, they'll position in now, and then they'll have their exit at 2x. And for them, now they'll be happy, and they might repeat that process 5 or 10 times. And they'll compound that exponentially. And I've seen that, and that's quite an interesting strategy. You have to be really patient with that, and you have to be very disciplined as well, because if that's your strategy, you're basically positioning, let's say for the sake of argument, you're positioning $1,000 here, and then you'll set your limit take profit at 2x somewhere up here, and that's your trade, and you've just doubled your account. You don't really care about the rest. And what I've seen people do through the course of a bull market is they will do that with many coins or tokens which are accumulating. So they'll identify tokens which are creating some kind of bullish accumulation. They'll position in, and they'll have a take profit 2x, and they're out, and that's the trade. And they'll just try and find every part of every time. Then they won't come back to this for a while. They'll wait. They won't just jump in then that's not the strategy. The strategy is to find tokens, and they'll go to like, they have like a, they'll look at all the tokens, and they'll look for tokens which are showing this kind of accumulative strength, and then they'll do that. I think when it comes to something like TRVL, there are key take profits along the way. So I don't know if it's a great strategy to just wait until the end, okay, for $3, right? And I'll tell you why. Let me just have a look here on Gate, because that's where my full charts are. Let me have a look. No. So I think look, so when you look at this, hold on, let me get my higher time frame levels as well. Oh, there's a lot of levels there. Right. There is another channel I want to look at as well. Is it that one? Right. There's another channel. I think there are levels where you could take profit. Like, I'm not saying you should, but I think just bear that in mind. Like, and the reason why I say that is because, like, for example, for this launch price, from this all-time high through the all-time low, if I do a fib retracement on the log scale, there's going to be a key resistance area at about 30 cents. Yeah. There's no way to, you can't fight fib when it comes to technical analysis. For some reason, fib works, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea, and depending on how the price gets there, but I don't think it's a bad idea if we do finally get there somehow and the price struggles a little bit, you see some kind of reaction to take some profit there. Because if we then correct, some kind of correction, what you can do with those profits that you've taken is you can defend the price. And that's part and parcel of a bull run. Yeah. So we're expecting, in this run, we're expecting 5 waves. And the waves are going to be somewhat impulsive. So I don't, like, we have to see how this wave 1 plays out. This wasn't the wave 1. This wasn't the wave 1 because we made a new all-time low, and that resets the count. So we have to see how this wave 1 plays out. We haven't seen that yet. Once we know what the way the wave 1 plays out and how far it gets, then we can start making some kind of projections and ideas for the future. And ideally, what you want to see is this 1 to land into some key resistance zone, and then we want to see this 2 come back to some kind of support zone, some key support zone. That's kind of what you want to see. Now, I don't know exactly how far up it's going to do that, whether it's going to be able to get to 3 cents or come to the back of the bottom of these channels at 20 cents, this previous range higher POC. I don't know if it's going to come back to 9 cents. I don't know if it's going to come back down to this chat. Like, I can't predict any of that, but I think it's not necessarily a bad idea once we get into these higher levels. For me, it's really important that we turn this from, that we change market structure on the highest level, which is the weekly time frame. So we have to take out this high. I think that would be a higher high on the weekly time frame. Once we take out that high, then all we have to do is make a higher low and take out the high once more. Yeah. And then on the weekly time frame, we've changed market structure. Once we have a highest time frame market structure change, then I think there'll be quite a significant injection in volume, because the bullish market structure is now, the market structure is now on the highest time frame bullish. Yeah. So there are some things that the bulls need to do to get to this position. And ultimately, like, I mean, maybe I should trade it. I don't know. Should I trade this and start selling and buying? Because I could have certainly sold, and I would have then, if I would have sold, I would have had a lot of capital to buy back in and hold the price up. But I guess I don't necessarily want to behave that way, because it's quite, like, you have to have the right mindset to do that. And you also, you know, it's quite risky as well, because no one knows how the price is going to play out. Like, I'm not, for me, I've spent a long time accumulating. I'm not willing to sell. I'm not looking to sell anytime soon. But eventually, I think once you get this wave one up, I will be looking to take some profits with the view of defending the price lower down. And that, in my mind, that makes sense in the context of a bull market. And I think what a lot of people can do now strategically, and this is what I do recommend this. So hold on, let me just get rid of these brush strokes now. I recommend two things for in the context of this bull market. I recommend that as people do have smaller limit orders in the highs, so that if the price does go up and reject, then they can use those the profits on those small limit orders to put scale back in at the lows. Yeah. And I don't think it should be on one person to do that. I think if on the broader part everyone was doing that or behaving that way, where they had very small take profits, it doesn't have to be large, it can be small. It could be a 1%, 2%, whatever, really, 10%, 20%, whatever. Yeah. Then it's not a big deal, because if, let's say, it went up 3x and you took 10%, yeah, in the scale of things, if the price then suddenly goes up, yeah, if it goes up 3x and you take 10% there, and the price continues, it's not really a big deal, because you're still 90% in and you're still getting an increase in value, significant increase in value. Yeah. But it has to be a limit order, because if you put a limit order and the price then finds resistance and it comes back down, and now you've got capital to defend the lows again. And then if everyone has that idea, then eventually what you'll get is a bull run. If people are skimming from the top and putting it back into the lows, and you're creating this kind of wave of behavior. And actually, that's what I'm hoping now. I'm hoping now, with this injection of volume, that enough people took enough profit from this move up, and they're going to put it right back in. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not expecting that, because I don't know if that's going to play out. But if I think what you should think about is, like, holding out to $3. You're gonna have to have that guts of steel. And I don't know why you picked $3. That's the other thing. Why 3? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking that question. Because on the fib extension, I've already got it there, so forget it. If you do a full fib extension from the all-time high to the all-time low, the 1-to-1 would be the all-time high. So let me get these markings in. Then that's the 1-to-1. You've got the 618, which is going to act as resistance. You're going to also have intermediary resistance lines, like the 786 and the 886, but I'm not going to bother with those. So you have key resistance lines in the way. And this is the highest time frame. This is the full range. This is from the all-time high through to the all-time low. I don't know why it would be wrong to take a little bit of profit at the 618. I just don't think it would be a bad idea to do that. But I think if you do that, set limit orders for one, yeah, because we've seen how the price moves. We don't know if the price is going to whip up there. You know, like people, it's been quite fast, and I don't like it necessarily, but who knows? It can happen like that. And then if you're looking to do that and you take a little bit of profit at 30 cents, then yeah, that would be amazing. Then you can, when it comes back to this previous high there, you can scale in again with that same amount. You're compounding your gain. When the price comes back to some kind of support level, now it could come back to 14 cents or it can come back to 9 cents. Both would make sense. 9 cents would be an absolute key level to defend for the bulls. Once we get into that higher range, the higher range is from the all-time high to 9 cents. That's the higher range. This is the higher range. And at the moment, we're in the lower range. Yeah. So we're kind of midway of the lower range. I've explained this in previous videos. And even though we're midway of the lower range, we've crossed the key volume level. And we're kind of teetering at support at the moment. We have to see how that plays out. In my mind, this is the beginning of the bull run. And in a bull run, the bull runs. And so effectively what people are, the strategy is to set really small limit orders at the highs arbitrarily. And I think everyone could participate in this behavior. I don't think it'd be wrong. Set really small limit orders at key resistance levels. And I'm labeling these levels, you know, on the charts. And the magic ones are the fib ones. They're the magic ones. So even if you were to just do a full fib log, let me get rid of these brush strokes again. So basically you're taking a fib level from the all-time high through to all the way down to the all-time low. You're doing a fib chart and it's on log, fib levels based on the log scale, right? So just do it on log. Don't bother with the price chart. And you have your key fib levels. 5 is not a fib level. 5 is just 50%. So in the context of a horizontal range, the 50% will act as support and resistance. That's the 5. That's the 50 fib. But the fib levels are as follows. And I don't think it's a bad idea to have to skim a little bit of profit at each fib level with the view of defending the price. Yeah. And if everyone behaved that way, we're going to have a bull run, basically, because you're taking the gains from the top and you're putting it back into the bottom. And eventually what you're going to end up with, the behavior is going to be higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. And it's going to continue. And what you'll find is that as the run continues, it's going to build more and more momentum. And so it's really important that we're basically starting the runoff. This is the beginning of a bull run. Yeah, it's quite exciting. So I'm just visualizing this in completely different terms. Yeah, a lot of people are looking this as trading. I'm not trading. A lot of people are looking at investing. I am investing, but most of my investments are in property. You know, like this is capital that I'm quote unquote willing to lose. Yeah, and I think that's why I'm not really stressed, because it's almost like a game. It's almost like a game, but the fundamentals are actually correct. The project is sound. The team are amazing. It's a small market cap coin token, and there's a lot of good things coming, and it's a real world asset, which is working product, which I know, which I've proved and tested myself. I helped with the testing period for the beta, and my properties are on Dtravel, and I've got guests right now, Dtravel guests right now, a returning customer. I had one last week, I have one this week, and I'm getting bookings all the time because I have guests coming back to me. So I've proven that it works. But what I'm really interested is in the bull run. That's what I'm really interested in. And that's what this is. This is the formation of the beginning of the bull run. And I think if we can get enough people to get on that same page, then this is going to be really exciting for everyone who participates in this endeavor. And I think part of that idea will be to skim a little bit of profit and then compound it at the lows. So you take some from the top and you put it back into the lows. You defend the lows. And no one is going to want to miss this run, basically. And I don't necessarily know if, which was what I was saying, I don't know if you said $3. I don't know why you have $3. Why 3? Great points. Yeah, I mean, I think just set a small percent. It doesn't even have to be a lot. Like, just don't even like if everyone does a little bit, it's enough. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be just like 1%. It could be a small amount. Yeah. But at the lows in the low liquidity environment, that 1%, that 0.5%, you take it from the top, you can set a limit order. And, you know, it could be, when you look at these candles, you know, I'm labeling the resistance and support levels all the time. So you could easily just have little orders, really small orders at those levels. If the price goes through, you're still in, you know, like it's only a small amount. It's not a big deal. But if the price rejects from a key level, then you've taken a little bit of profit, which you can compound back in. And I think if everyone behaved that way, it's fine. Ultimately, the volume of the market will determine the price. Ultimately, the demand will determine whether the price goes up or down, ultimately. And I'm obviously hoping and wishing and expecting that in time, we're going to get more and more interest and more volume coming in, because, and part of the reason why it's going to come in, obviously, everything has got to do with Dtravel and travel, TRVL, and all of the rest that's going on. Obviously, that is paramount for what I'm saying. I'm not saying this isn't like some meme coin, which is purely speculative and it's purely greed based. There's some serious fundamentals at play. But let me tell you something which is really interesting for me, is that Dtravel has been building a real world application for a greater part of 2 years now. Yeah. And it's almost ready. Almost ready. I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to come and do what Dtravel has done in such a short space of time in the future, right? So we are way ahead. Like we are basically, it's in a race. If you imagine this as a race, we have a 2-year head start on any future potential competitor, if there's going to be one. And that's very interesting for me. I don't think anyone is going to be able to do what Dtravel has done in the next 6 months or a year to bring it up to the same place. Eventually, when the price does go up, yeah, we're also going to be releasing the limits of Dtravel to do more. That's the other thing. So in all of this time, with everything that I've seen, it's a miracle what Dtravel have actually done. Yeah, they've spent 2 years with, relatively speaking, a small amount of money. Relatively speaking, it hasn't been more than $6 or $7 million, yeah, in USD, to do what they've done and to create what they created, the tech that they're creating. And they've created a peer-to-peer application with a real-world use case. And you know, it's much harder than you think, because we're not just talking an application which is just for crypto users. We're talking an application which requires real world assets, hosts, operators to bring their assets onto the platform. And then also after that, you need users as well. So it's much harder to create that kind of network than just some kind of financial derivative or some kind of crypto or something which represents some kind of equity token. You know, it's a lot more difficult to do that. So I think all of that aside, just from a price perspective and the context of crypto markets and markets in general and bull runs and bull markets, this hasn't run yet. Eventually, when the price goes up, Dtravel will have unlimited amounts of capital and liquidity, especially once we get into the higher echelons of the price, $1, $2, whatever, to greatly speed up what they're doing and to really expand the product beyond our imagination. And that will be the increase in speed. So right now they're going as fast as they can within the context of the capital that they have available at their disposal. And they don't want to, they're not selling, you know, like that's one thing I know about the Dtravel is they're not selling the loads, you know. So the capital that they're using right now is from the initial raised capital from the beginning of the fundraising. And so eventually, obviously in the highs, when the volume comes in and the interest is peaking and starting to peak or starting to go up, they'll be able to kind of release a little bit more of equity, and that will go into expediting the product development, the marketing campaign, and everything else. It's going to get faster. That's the point that I'm making. As the price goes up, this is going to go faster and faster and faster. And eventually more and more people are going to hear about it. More and more hosts are going to come on board. More and more bookings are going to happen. It's going to really speed up. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the bull market and the bull run. And so, yeah, so, all right. So I understand what you're saying about the mental barriers. Well, $1 has always been known to be a mental barrier. And then I think after one, then the next mental barrier is going to be 2. I think those mental barriers in the highs are very arbitrary, because in the highs, there's going to be really low volume levels of previous price action. So when you're contemplating the future, it's always good to look at the volume in the past to see where previous price has traded, to tell you and to determine where good prices are. And I think once you're kind of getting above this level here, which is, again, it's 3 cents, you're really looking at very minimal volume. And so therefore, it's very likely that once we get above 3 cents and flip it into some kind of support, the price will go up very fast. I think interest will be peaked at 3. Will start peak, well, not peaked, but will increase greatly above 3 cents. We've also changed market structure, because if we go to make a higher high and a higher low, the minute we go back above that, that's a confirmation in market structure change. And I think then you're going to get a real kind of massive interest, and volume is going to really start to pick up. And therefore, I don't necessarily think that even $1, I don't see any volume at $1. So there's no volume there. I don't know $1 is going to hold. So I think naturally a key resistance level, just because it's the all-time high, will be the all-time high. So that is going to be the first real test at the highs. It will be the all-time high. If 1.56 doesn't hold, 1.56, there. If that price doesn't hold, it will be because of a few reasons. Okay, it'll be because there's so much volume that there's not enough liquidity to hold the price at that level, number one. Or if it doesn't, I mean, that's basically the real reason. I mean, if it doesn't hold, mainly it's because the volume, or there not enough people are selling, so people are holding out for higher. I don't know which one of those two combinations it's going to be. I think some people will take profit, but it also depends on how many people take profit along the way, you know. So if there are people who are accumulating down here, what if most of these people take most of their profit here and don't come back in, but the price still goes up? Yeah, then you don't have people down here looking to take profit anymore. You have people who are coming in here looking to take profit. They'll probably take profit, most of their profit, on the way up here. So actually you might not have that many people taking profit at all time. So it's about who is taking profit, how much they're taking along the way, how much volume is coming in, which is going to determine how we cross 1.56. But I think it will be very wrong to not take profit at 1.56. Yeah, even if it means, look, you have 1.56 somewhere here, and this is the strategy. If you were to take profit here and the price comes back down, you can compound it to go back up. If it goes up, then if it comes back to test, you can support it to go back up. It makes no real difference in the scale of things if you were to take profit at the all-time high, because if the objective is to put it back in, yeah, that's the question. Do you put it back in? That's the real question, because for a lot of people that might be life-changing money enough to not put it back in. And so then it will come down to extra interest coming in at those highs. Will that bring enough volume to keep the price going up? Or do we experience 1.56 as the end? You know, like, I can't tell, I can't predict that. Is this all that we see? You know, I just don't know. I can't predict that future, and that doesn't even have to go up that way. Is that it? Do we just go up to the all-time high with one test to never come back up again? And when I say never, I don't mean never. I mean never in the context of this bull market. I just don't know how this is going to play out. So we have to wait and see. And I don't think it's unwise to take profit at key levels. Okay. Now, along the way now, I think it's a very safe and clear, like, I think, like, what I'm doing is I'm looking to scaling on red candles. Yeah. So I think that's a really easy strategy, and it's very stress-free, and I'm not really stressed about it. And I'm just buying red candles. So I bought yesterday. I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't buy this candle because I wanted to see the price settle a little bit. I don't like to catch falling knives. I like for the price to settle before I buy, and that's just me. But I think it depends. Like, if you're buying $10 a day or every red candle, that's fine. You know, that's not a big deal. Like, you could do that. If you're buying a small amount on every red candle, I think that's okay. And then if you do get like a big expansive white candle like this, where did it close? It closed at 5.4 cents. You could take a little bit of profit at the end of that candle. Yeah, you could have taken profit there. And if the price goes up, you're only taking a little bit. It's fine. If the price goes up, most of your position's still in profit. It doesn't matter because your price is going up. And if the price does go down, then you can just take what you've taken out and put it back in. So you're just ending up with more TRVL. But that doesn't really make any difference, because in the scale of things, because we're still at the lows, you know, at the beginning, that would be a very fair strategy for the long term. And in my mind, I'm treating my TRVL as my bank balance. So I'm transferring fiat into TRVL. Basically, that's what I'm saying. And I'm not actually in any other tokens. Like, I have a little bit of AVA, and that's it. Yeah, I don't have any Bitcoin or ETH. This is going to run faster and harder than this is a bull run. This is the beginning of a bull, and that's how I see it. So I'm more interested in the bull run. I'm not interested in catching a coin that's already up 20,000x or whatever and trying to 3x on hopium. I'm actually interested in the fundamental idea and the psychology of a bull run, and of an actual bull run. That's what I'm interested. I'm interested to see how far we can take this, and how bigger community we can build around this idea of running the run, of running the ball. Yeah, it's quite exciting actually. And who knows, you know, you never know what can happen in the future. This could be, we could have had a really good experience, and that we could have done something great in the process, because Dtravel is great. The idea behind Dtravel is fantastic. It isn't like some kind of meme coin which hasn't got the capability of doing anything for anyone. And Dtravel is going to benefit a lot of people in the real world. And, you know, right now the short vacation rental industry is a monopoly. There's nothing wrong with disrupting monopolies. That in itself is an exciting endeavor. It's an exciting project plan. It's an exciting strategy or idea, disrupting a Web 2 monopoly mammoth. And I think if we get enough people onto this concept of this bull market and bull run, I mean, I imagine what happens if we manage to get to a 2-to-1 in this fib extension, and for some reason, I don't know why, we get Dtravel to $123, that highest target, the top of this channel, by April 25. How crazy would that be? I don't know how this would work. Like a crazy run like that. And that would be basically the same market cap value as Airbnb. Can you imagine what would happen to Airbnb if that was to happen? Every single person on Airbnb as a host would come to Dtravel, because Dtravel is fundamentally better than Airbnb. Fundamentally, it's better. It's cheaper. It's a better platform. It's peer-to-peer. The guests the guests always prefer to deal directly with the host, always, and the hosts always prefer to deal directly with the guests. And Airbnb is a hindrance. The centralization is a hindrance. It does not benefit anyone except Airbnb. And the way Airbnb behaves is onerous. It's limiting. It's not freedom. It's not releasing. And I think fundamentally this is better in every way. So I think if this, I mean, I don't know, and this is possible. If this was to happen, the whole world will be talking about Dtravel, about this Web3 mammoth, which is just destroying Airbnb. How crazy would that be? It's possible. And that is within the remit of a bull market. If we can make this bull run and get this bull, and the idea is the same actually. You take profit at key levels and you compound the profit. The same idea. And ultimately, the momentum is gonna change to really bullish, super bullish. And that's what I want to do. So right now, if you look at the weekly time frame, you see the momentum on the weekly time frame is flat. Now, this is the weekly 50. And we've come through it once, twice. This is a really good sign, because we've pierced the weekly 50 now on 2 occasions, and it's not really, it looks like it's holding, but it's not. This is not a strong sign of holding. This is actually what you want to see before the price goes up. And then obviously what we would like to see is for the weekly 50 to offer some kind of support. And if you look at the 3-day chart, you can see now the 3-day 50 is starting to turn. So I don't know when, but eventually we're going to see a golden cross on the 3-day chart. So the momentum will eventually turn. And obviously we've seen a golden cross on the daily chart. So we know for sure that the momentum has shifted. It's no longer a downward momentum. But effectively what we want on the daily chart is for the momentum to carry us. And that is going to be when all of these moving averages are, the 20 is going to be like that, the 50, then you have the 100 is going to be like that. That is going to be the moment where it begins its run, where you have some kind of breakout, and now the moving averages are all in alignment like this, from the 200 to the 100 to the 50 to the 20 to the EMAs. Yeah, and the EMAs are going to be more kind of up and down like that. And once we get that, then we can make this is going to be the beginning of the run. Yeah, then I'll be looking at 5 waves, and hopefully we can have a real excitement and hype around this token and get this to as high as we can get. And I don't see why. I mean, I don't really know, like, honestly, I think, you know, once you get into life-changing money, you should think about taking enough to change your life. Like, I'm not telling people hold on to the end because you're going to become a multi-millionaire or billionaire. Like, I don't know how far this can go. I don't even know if this is going to work. Like, this is what I have in my imagination just by looking at the charts and just understanding crypto and understanding how these things have happened in the past with other tokens. And maybe that was all kind of sporadic, or if it was just the market doing it. There was no plan. And I don't think there's a plan. I'm not telling people this is what we should try and do. I'm saying this is what I'm imagining, and maybe or maybe not, it could happen. Who knows? Like, it could happen something else. This is one variation of the future that I can foresee. And if it doesn't happen, well, you know, it didn't happen. What can I say? If it doesn't happen, then what could happen? Well, again, who knows? I mean, like, look, you know, if that doesn't happen, maybe that's all we get. Back up to the all-time high. I think in the context of what this project has, I think that's within reach. You'd be looking at something like that. Possibly. It'd be very weird that this was it. Like, I think because if this was to play out the way I'm drawing it now, it'd be very weird, because that's, to me, that looks like a higher time frame head and shoulders. And if this plays out the way I'm looking at it now, after it breaks, I mean, if this was to break, it would break. Like, it would go crazy. It wouldn't just, like, that would be a very poor poor move after that kind of break. It would probably really go crazy, and then you would really possibly be looking at something like that, you know. But the only reason this could happen is if you had some significant market structure change on the weekly time frame. And I think that's going to be the first, like, on the weekly time frame, look, this low, all-time low, is a lower low, right? We have to change that. And the change is going to be taking out this high. We have to take it out. And that would be a higher high then, because you've got a lower high. We need to make a higher high. And after you make a higher high, then you have to make a higher low somewhere. Doesn't matter where. And then to confirm the change, you have to take out the high that you've made. That's the higher high. This is the higher low. Then you have to confirm the change with a higher high. That's the change in market structure. And every time frame has a change in market structure. And we have changed the market structure on the lower time frames. On the daily time frame, we are in bullish market structure. But on the higher time frame, i.e. the weekly time frame, technically, we're still in a bearish market structure. This is your lower high. This is your lower low. We've made an all-time low. We still have to change that. We'd be having a completely different conversation if we never made an all-time low here. If this was the all-time low and this low held and didn't make an all-time low, we'd be in the wave 3 already now, because that's the wave 1. This would be the wave 3. Yeah. But there wasn't enough interest in this downward move to defend this low for this to be the wave 3. There wasn't enough interest. That's what this is saying to me. So now that the interest is building and picking up, now that the team are starting to release the changes or the things that are going to make this project extremely attractive to the rest of the world and the crypto markets especially, maybe this is the wave 1 that we're going to see soon, or we're in it now, who knows, like we have to see what happens. And then once we see the market structure change, you'll get a corrective move to get this wave 2, and the 3 is going to be the bullish one, the big one. Yeah, where once we have that change, everyone is going to be trying to catch the higher low for the wave 3. That will be what I think is a possible future. So so Craig Shot is saying, we've seen stock value pump on tech giants AI push over the past year. Now that crypto projects are onboarding AI, such as Dtravel search engine, that will no doubt be a growth factor as well. Yeah, of course. I think the most important thing once we launch Dtravel Sensei AI search engine is marketing. I think once the search engine is launched, we just have to get the word out. The word out is not going to come out from me because I don't really have a large audience. I think once we can capture the audience of the bigger influencers, whether they're in the crypto sphere or just in the digital nomad sphere on TikTok or whatever, that's when we're going to get a large amount of interest. And maybe actually you're right, maybe some of the big financial investors are going to look at this and go, okay, this is a good investment, this is a long hold, and we're going to start plowing money into this. But I think a large portion of the bigger players won't put money into this until the market cap goes up a little bit higher. It's a bit too illiquid for big players to come and take a big position. But I mean, who knows? Like, look at this volume. This is Gate last week. It's like 24 million coins, but on KuCoin, I mean, someone took a big chunk out of the supply. 77 million traded last week. 77 million in 77 million in Dtravel terms is let me tell you, 0.0. What price do they get at? Let's say 4. That's $3 million. That's 3 million USD traded in the last week just on KuCoin. 3 million USD bought and sold just on the KuCoin on TRVL, thereabouts. I'm just basing it on an average of 4 cents. So I think that's a large amount of volume, huh? That's huge. I think that's massive. I think someone has literally come and taking a big chunk out of the supply. I don't know who's selling right now. It's really weird that I'm seeing people are actually selling right now, because this is actually what we wanted to see. This is what I've been talking about through this whole consolidation range. What I was asking for is for an increase in volume, and we got that increase in volume. So now is a really good sign to start buying more, actually. And maybe we're gonna, like, the week hasn't even begun. What would be good now, potentially, if we get like I don't know what this week is going to be like. I think if we get like a nothing week, then maybe the volume is going to come in, or maybe the volume will come in on the back of this week. Like that would be the best case for us, would be an increase in last week's volume now. That would be what I'm imagining as best case scenario. The best case scenario for this token now, best case, is for an increase in volume where the price is closing in the highs. Yeah, increasing volume. That's kind of what would be best case scenario. I don't really want to contemplate the worst case scenario, but I think worst case scenario would be for the price to fall back down into these lows and close down here. I don't like that. That basically tells me that we haven't actually left the range. If that was to happen, we haven't gone back down to the lows, but we're still in the range that we were in to begin with. That all of this volume, if we were to end up back into this range here, all of that volume hasn't managed to get us out of this range. It's not what you want to see, really. You want to see that volume to make a difference. That's really, I wouldn't be necessarily, I think then, if that was to happen, I think possibly we either have to consolidate for a much longer period. It's not ready. Or if that was to happen, I think then we would be looking for lower. And maybe we needed to maybe pick up liquidity much lower down. You know, I don't necessarily think that is a happy place to be in. And it doesn't mean I'm going to be selling. Like, that's the thing that people don't understand. I think on the higher time frame, I'm looking at the lows. So in my mind, if the price was to somehow go down there, I'd be looking to buy more. Like, I'd be looking to improve my position. I'd be looking to accumulate more, because nothing has changed with everything that I've said in terms of the higher time frame. Yeah, it just means that the low, this isn't the low, the low, this isn't exactly how the low is going to be. It's not going to be like this to go up. It's something else. It's, you know, maybe it's like that, or maybe it's like that. Maybe you get like a V shape and then the price just expands. It's, you know, we just don't know. Hi Maxime, how's it going? I'm talking about TRVL, and I've just been sharing some ideas about the bull run that I'm looking for. And I don't know if you've been paying attention or listening, or you just joined. But yeah, so I think it's quite interesting to participate in a bull run. And that's kind of why I'm like making videos, and I'm kind of spending a lot of time on TRVL. So I like to trade chart crypto just because I like to do technical analysis anyway. And I think that can be quite useful for a lot of people, because a lot of people may not know how to do it. And obviously I know my way, and everyone has their own way, and there is no right way, but we can all share and learn from each other. But when it comes to the Bitcoin bull market specifically, I am looking for a bull run. Like, I'm looking for the bulls to run, and I want to run with the bulls. And that's kind of why I'm doing this with TRVL, because it's really interesting to document that run from the beginning and to journal it, and to just have this kind of live story of the emergence of a Web3 real world application, which maybe in the future could or could not, who knows, disrupt Airbnb. How exciting would that be to document that journey from the beginning? And so that's kind of why I'm doing this, and it's kind of fun at the same time. But at the same time, I'm also interested in the bull run aspect of the crypto part and the dynamics of that. And like I was saying before, the easiest strategy for everyone who's watching, starting to watch me and starting to kind of listen to my ideas of how to do this, and everyone should do what they're comfortable with. No one should like be pressured or forced into doing anything that they don't want to do. I'm not telling people what to do, but I think a good strategy is simply to set limit orders for a small amount. It could be very small, it doesn't have to be large, at key resistance levels. It could be 0.5%, it could be 1%, it could be whatever you want really, and not too much, because we're at the lows. You don't want to like be out of position at key levels, you know, wherever they are, and maybe the top of wicks, their key levels. And then if you get this kind of behavior of this kind of behavior, then you have taken profit wherever, and then for everyone to put limit orders at the lows. So to take the profit for the small amounts of profit, limit profits, don't do market, do limits, it's better, at the highs, and then put limits back at the lows. And I think if everyone starts to behave that way, rather than this crazy market selling, this is not the way to do it. It'd be better to put limit orders, and it'd also be better to put limit orders at the lows. And eventually what you'll experience, if everyone is kind of getting into that idea, first and foremost, the most important thing is you're going to see the volume increase. And that's kind of what we want to see. But it's not going to happen with 1 or 2 people doing this. It's going to happen with everyone doing a little bit. And so just putting small limit orders at the highs of these wicks is a very easy strategy. And then if the price goes up, it doesn't really matter, because it's only a small amount. You took a little bit of profit on the way up. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it could be 0.5%. It's not a big deal that your whole portfolio is down 0.5% down if the price is pumping, you know, and the volume just came in and the price is back up there. It's not a big deal, right? And actually that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see volume to come to push through limit orders. That's kind of what you want to experience. That's an indication in itself. So that will be a good idea. And then also if you do get into key resistance levels and the price does drop, which is expected, then for everyone who's willing to participate in the bull run, to catch the lows, to buy the lows, and you can just take that a little bit of profit and you can put it back into the lows. And so overall your travel position increases. And if it continues going to the moon, because one time in the future it will, then it doesn't matter, because it's going to the moon now, you know, and we all played a part in that kind of endeavor. And ultimately, let's see how far we can make this bull run. Basically, that's the idea behind the bull run. Yeah, and I hear a lot of crypto influencers and stuff. They don't really talk about it in this way, and so I have a really different idea of a bull run. You know, like I'm actually visualizing it in the way that we're running with bulls. You know, like we are running with the bulls, and we're making the bull run as far as possible, and then eventually that's going to speed up. And that's quite exciting, you know, and it's going to be this kind of behavior that gets us to where we're going. And I think that's by the by, that's all aside from the fundamentals. That's all aside from them. All right, I think that's enough TRVL. I wanted to chart this other token, so I don't know if anyone's interested, but I'm going to do a brand new chart on this token.